Hey guys, Greg here. Let's solve find if path exists in graph Leetcode number 1971. So we're given a bidirectional graph. That just means there's no directed edges here. 0 can go to 1 and 1 can go to 0 via this connection here. So we're given a bidirectional graph with n vertices, where each vertex is labeled from 0 to n minus 1. So the edges in the graph are represented as a 2D integer array of edges. So we're given an array of edges, where each edges at I is a UI VI. And that denotes a bidirectional edge between vertex UI and VI. Okay, so basically it's just saying that any component of this edges array says that U and V are connected. So we're guaranteed that every vertex pair is connected by at most one edge, as in if 0 and 1 are connected here, there's not going to be like a redundant connection where they're kind of connected again. And also no vertex has an edge to itself. So there's none of those kind of just pointing at itself. Those are silly. Now you want to determine if there's a valid path that exists from vertex source over to vertex destination. So if source is 0 and the destination is 2, well then here we'd of course return true because we can get from 0 to 2. There's actually two different ways. We could get there by going through 1, or we could get there just directly from 0 to 2. So in this example, this would be false. This graph has two connected components, 1, 0, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and the source and destination are in different connected components. So the source is over here in 0, and the destination's in 5. So from 0, you can get to 1 and 2, but there's no way to get to any of these ones. And since the destination is 5, then we'd return false. Okay, so suppose we were given n equals 8 nodes, and if we were given this array of edges, then this would be the corresponding graph. You can confirm that. And the source is going to be 0, which I've drawn over here, and the destination is 5, which I've drawn over here. So ultimately, we should return false here because this is going to be an example where we cannot reach the destination. There's no way to get there. But to find that out, let's say we did a depth first search. Okay, so we were prioritizing depth. Well, if we started that from this node here, if we did a DFS, we'd have to pick one of 0's two neighbors. It doesn't matter which one. Let's say we picked this one. Okay, well then we're over here, and from 1, we'd have to pick one of its two neighbors. And so if we picked this connection again, this same connection here, well, this is why you would need a set to keep track of nodes that we visited. Because this is a bidirectional graph here, if you take this connection here, there's nothing stopping you from taking this connection back. Okay, so we're going to keep track of a set. I'll just call it set here. We'd first mark 0, which is our source, and then if we took this path here, we would add 1 into it to say that we've now visited 1. We never want to visit a node more than once. So this is a DFS, meaning that since we just saw this node, we want to prioritize its neighbors. So if we were doing a BFS, we'd actually prioritize this 0 node's neighbors and go over here to go breadth, but we're going depth. So we're going over here. So we'd see this node and we would see a 7. We see that, we'll add that to the set, and there's really nothing to do from 7. You could try this connection, but we've already seen this node here. That would show that it's in our set. So we would end up back at this 1 node here. We need to try 0's other neighbor. So we see this 2. We would add 2 to the set. We see 6, and we would add it to the set. 6 has no neighbors other than this connection, so this would kind of just die off. This would die off, and we'd basically end back over here, having seen all of these different nodes, and none of them were the destination. Okay, if one of them were the destination, we would have returned true, but we're basically back here saying that we've done our total search that we can from this node, and so we'd ultimately return false, like we said. Okay, new example. What if we added in this connection here? So between 6 and 4, that would basically add in this edge right here. Or 4, 6, it's the same thing. So we know we could kind of do the same thing over here. We could find 1 and then 7. And so that would add 1 and then 7. But then when we kind of went back to 0 here and tried its other neighbor, well, we'd see 2. We could add that. We'd see 6. We could try that. We'd add 4. We could try that. Maybe we tried 4 to 3 first, so we'd end up here, but no matter what, you would actually end up over here at the 5. And so we would ultimately want to return true because you could find it. Okay, that's if we were using a depth first search. Let me show you a BFS would be totally fine as well. So prioritizing breadth. Well, if we started from the 0, then we could try the 1. We'd add that in there, and we'd also add the 2, add that in there as well. We're prioritizing breadth now. From the 1, we saw that first, so we would go and see the 7. From 2, we would then see the 6, so we add that in there. 6, we add over to node number 4. From 4, we could try this one first. over to 3. And from 4, we could try over to 5. So we get 5. Ultimately, it doesn't matter whether it's a DFS or a BFS, and there's no obvious advantage between a DFS and a BFS. See all of the N nodes, and we're also going to see all of the E connections, or all of the E edges. So both of these solutions are going to take up O of N plus E time, and as we'll see in the code, it's also going to store O of N plus E space. So either a DFS or a BFS from the source node is perfectly fine. Now, I'd like to show you 3 different ways to do this. Number 1 is DFS with recursion. That's probably how most people would write this. However, you can also do DFS with a stack, otherwise known as an iterative method, basically using a while loop and a stack instead of the recursive call stack. And the third way would be to use a BFS. And to do BFS properly, we're pretty much forced to use a DQ, a double-ended queue object. Okay, so the first way to do this, we'll do it with recursion. So firstly, if the source is equal to the destination, that's a pretty simple base case. We can return true. Not really much we have to do there. Then we have to go through and build the graph, and we're going to make it an adjacency list using a dictionary, or more specifically, a default dictionary. We'll see that. So we'll make the graph be represented by a default dict, which takes a list. We'll map any node to a list of all of its neighbors. So for each U and V in the edges, so we have a U connected to a V, well, we should say that U, so graph at U, now is connected to V. So from U, we can get to V. However, it's bidirectional. Graph at V dot append with U. From V, we can also get back to U. We'll have to be careful not to deal with cycles because this kind of infinitely could bounce around, but you could get from one to the other and the other back to yourself. Okay, so to make sure we don't see nodes multiple times and get caught infinitely, you need a seen or a visited set. So seen is equal to a set. This is a hash set. And we'll say that we've already seen the source. Okay, so we're going to start from there. Now, since we're doing DFS with recursion first, this will be method number 1. We need a function. So we'll define DFS, which takes a node, which I'll just call an integer I. Now this function is going to return a Boolean. So let me just pass this for now, and we'll write this so we can just return DFS on the source. So this DFS will return true if we can find the node of interest, the destination, and false otherwise. So the way we do this is that, well, if I is equal to the destination, well, then we found it. So we should probably return true. Otherwise, well, then we need to try and find it. So we need to look through one of our neighbors. For each neighbor node in the graph at myself, so we are at node I, for each of my neighbors, so if the neighbor node is not in seen, so if we haven't seen it before, well, then we're going to see it soon. So seen.add that neighbor node, so we don't see it multiple times. And then can we find a path from here? So can we find a path from this node if we have the DFS on the neighbor node? So if that returns true, that means that somewhere in the path we found the destination. So we can return true. Otherwise, if we've gone through all of these nodes here, if we visited all of the neighbors and we didn't find it, well, then we should probably return false, because if you've gone all the path that you can down here and you didn't find it, well, then that means you couldn't find it. So we return false. Okay, so this is the finished form of number 1. So this is DFS with recursion. This code will work. Now, to do it with a stack iteratively, we need just a little bit of a switch here. We would erase this function and we'd actually use a stack. So we would say stack is equal to an empty list, and actually we'll put the source node on that for now. So we'll see the source. Then what we can do is, while we have a stack, that means there's a node to pop off. So we can get node is equal to stack.pop. Since we're using a stack, this is going to cause a DFS because we're going to pop off the most recently added node. That will cause it to force the depth first search. Now, very similar to our function, if the node is equal to the destination, so if we found it, well, then we can return true. And this isn't in a function, so this would actually return true to like the Leetcode answer right there, globally true. And otherwise, well, we should still look at the neighbors. So for each neighbor node in the graph at the current node, which I'm calling node, if that neighbor node is not in seen, same thing, then we should say that we saw it, seen.add neighbor node, and we should stack.append that neighbor node to try and put that on the stack, which will cause a DFS. We're appending on the right side. We're also popping from the right side. That'll cause a DFS, basically last in, first out. And this will run by itself. And if we get to the point where this while loop concludes, that means we could return false globally. So if you never found it in your search, it means you couldn't find it. So we'd return false. Okay, so this is the proper code to method number 2, which is doing DFS with a stack iteratively. The last method would be to do BFS, which uses a double-ended queue. We would need to import this object. So from collections, we could import DQ, and it's basically just appending to the right and popping from the left using a DQ. So instead of a stack, we would have a queue is equal to a DQ object, and we would queue.append the source node. And while we have a queue instead, well, we'd get a node is equal to the queue.pop left. Okay, that's the key here to cause this to do a BFS. And if we actually just had pop here, that would actually work. That would just do a DFS. So we pop from the left side, but we append to the right side. So we append and pop from different sides. That makes it act as a queue. So this right here is actually the entire code that you would need to make this act as a BFS. It really is that simple of a switch. It's just using a DQ, and instead of a stack, you use a queue, and we force it to pop left. You still append to the right, but we force it to pop left. Okay, so the time and space complexity is actually going to be the same for all of them. They're all going to be n plus e, and that's actually true for both the space and the time. So they're all n plus e. Well, we're definitely just seeing all of the nodes potentially, and we're potentially taking all of the edges, because essentially what you're doing here is taking off a node that you're looking at and then going through each of its connections. So we're seeing all of the nodes, and for each of those nodes, we're seeing each of its edges. So collectively, that is all of the nodes plus all of the edges. And the space complexity, we're actually storing both of these things too, because we're storing all of the edges, because right here, you're actually storing it, like for each of the edges, we're storing the forward direction and the backwards direction. So we're clearly storing the edges. And regardless of the three methods you're using here, we're still storing at most all of the vertices, or all of the nodes. Because if you're doing it with recursion, well then you're at most putting all of them on the call stack. If you're doing it with a normal stack, well then you're putting them on the stack. And if you're doing BFS with a double-ended queue, then you're putting all of them there. So it doesn't really matter which method you choose. We're always going to see all of the nodes and see all of the edges, and also store all of the nodes and store all of the edges. Okay, so drop a like if this was helpful, guys. I hope it was, and have a great day. Bye-bye.